What if the United States split into 50 separate countries? Overnight. Same land, same people, but 50 sovereign governments, 50 currencies. Or not. 50 border checkpoints, 50 foreign policies. How would systems adapt or fail across energy, trade, security, and daily life? Let's run the scenario with real-world mechanics. Assumption set. The federal government dissolves peacefully. Ownership and bureaucracy devolve to states. Defense assets are frozen in place pending treaties. States inherit law enforcement, courts, and public lands within borders. Interstate compacts remain but require renegotiation under international law. Each state becomes a sovereign nation-state. Tribal nations negotiate bilateral status. Washington, D.C. becomes a city-state or joins Maryland by referendum. Systems baseline. Power grids are regional, not state-specific. Pipelines, rail, and rivers ignore borders. Supply chains are multi-state by design. Defense. Nuclear triad. Shipyards, bases, and satellites. Shared origin, split custody. Strategic ambiguity, urgent diplomacy. Monetary. Federal Reserve dissolves. States must choose. New currencies, shared currency unions, or currency boards pegged to baskets like USD Legacy, CAD, MXN, EUR. Borders. International travel standards apply between states. Customs, visa-free regimes, and trusted traveler lanes become negotiations, not assumptions. Daily life baseline. Jobs cross borders. Payroll systems, health insurance networks, and university residency rules become international instantly. Markets open to uncertainty. Equity trading halts across multiple exchanges. Circuit breakers trip amid fragmented jurisdiction and listing venues. Payments reroute. ACH and Fedwire equivalents pause. Private rails and card networks activate contingency routing using pre-agreed sovereign IDs. Emergency legislatures pass continuity acts, recognize property titles, maintain contracts, and declare temporary recognition of cross-border licenses. Borders begin light touch. Freight flows with documentary checks. Customs mark and waive for trusted carriers to prevent immediate supply shock. Grid operators keep power on via status quo agreements. Frequency control, ancillary services, and dispatch continue under emergency compacts. Pipelines flow under common carrier rules retained as international treaties in waiting. Tariffs posted in SDR equivalents pending currency decisions. Cross-border watersheds hold status quo for health reasons. River compacts convert to international river commissions within weeks. Telecom carriers preserve roaming at domestic rates for 90 days. Number portability stands. Interconnect fees settled in bulk netting. Citizenship defaults to state of legal residence. Dual or multiple citizenship treaties follow. Existing U.S. passports honored for 6 and 12 months in transition. Checkpoints prioritize freight lanes and emergency services. QR-based customs declarations reduce dwell times. Air routes refile flight plans as international sectors. Open skies agreements negotiated in blocks. New England Union, Pacific Compact, and Great Lakes Council. Banks ring-fence deposits by state. Temporary deposit insurance schemes activate. Correspondent banking lines open to major currencies. Payroll splits. Cross-border workers receive dual tax withholdings based on bilateral interim tax treaties. Compliance software patches roll out weekly. E-commerce firms pre-clear customs by manifest sharing. Last mile unchanged, but delivery time buffers extend 12 to 36 hours near borders. Tuition and residency redefined. Cross-border students receive transitional domestic status for current academic year only. Defense assets, moratorium on asset movement. Chain of custody teams inventory equipment. Nuclear command devolves to a joint council with triple key safety. Space assets stay unified under a civil military caretaker agency. Tasking priorities agreed by consensus with safety of flight precedents. Maritime safety uses harmonized codebooks. Search and rescue remains integrated to avoid loss of life. Disaster response. Mutual aid compacts convert to international aid protocols. ICS remains standard operating language. Public mood, anxious but orderly. Most people still go to work. The system bends, not breaks. Environmental governance follows watersheds, not borders. New river commissions form for the Colorado, Mississippi, Columbia, and Great Lakes. Hydropower dispatch stays basin optimized. Power purchase agreements become international power trade with nodal pricing and congestion rents. Air and water standards diverge slowly. Most states adopt a common baseline to avoid non-tariff barriers in trade. Fire suppression uses cross-border incident teams. Aircraft overflight rights are pre-cleared seasonally. Coastal resilience funds become multilateral pools, pricing risk per shoreline kilometer and exposure. Some states launch linked carbon markets. Others choose command and control rules. Border carbon adjustments appear on heavy industry. Public lands. Access remains regulated but open. Grazing, timber, and mining royalties reissued under national statutes aligned to existing NEPA-like reviews. Trade blocs emerge. West Coast ports align standards. Gulf states coordinate petrochemical exports. Northeast specializes in finance, biotech, education. Currency choices, dollarized unions in regional clusters, commodity-pegged boards in energy-heavy states, manage floats in diversified economies. Tariffs stay near zero for goods to avoid inflation spikes. Services face licensing frictions, particularly legal, medical, and financial advisory. Capital markets fragment but interlist. Clearinghouses mutualize risk across borders. CDS spreads widen, then compress as treaties stabilize. Farm states negotiate phytosanitary equivalents to keep exports moving. River barge traffic prioritizes grain and fertilizer. Innovation clusters intensify. Talent visas inside former interstate borders become expedited to reduce brain drain. Housing markets segment. Some capitals become high-demand headquarters cities. Fiscal policy competes via corporate and personal tax differentials. Grid remains regional. PJM, MISO, ERCOT equivalent. CAISO. Cross-border wheeling charges normalize. Reliability standards harmonize via MOUs. Gas balancing markets settle imbalances daily in linked hubs. LNG terminals adopt joint ownership models for security of supply. Automation offsets border friction. Manufacturers deploy more vision systems, AGVs, and predictive maintenance to compress cycle times. Data residency laws proliferate. Cloud providers add sovereign partitions. Cross-border latency addressed with edge caches and peering. Railroads standardize customs pre-clearance for unit trains. Hours of service rules align to avoid crew change bottlenecks at borders. ITES integrates plates and permits across countries with shared APIs. Tolling interop preserves cashless flow. Strategic tech. Allied states coordinate export controls. Fabs receive special economic corridor status to maintain tool and material access. Healthcare networks renegotiate cross-border coverage. Emergency care honored anywhere. Billing reconciled via clearing consortia. Education portability. Degrees recognized by treaty. Teacher licensure reciprocity adopted to mitigate shortages. Legal rights diverge by constitution, but due process norms converge to keep business and travel workable. Elections become national per state. Diaspora voting expands. Overseas citizens register consularly. Identity, national pride layers over regional identity. Migration within the former U.S. continues, but with visas, many visa-free. Social safety nets diverge. Food and housing supports managed nationally. Mutual recognition agreements protect transient workers. Daily life normalizes within months. Most changes are administrative friction, forms, fees, and occasionally different rules across a bridge. International recognition proceeds state by state. Regional blocs coordinate ambassadors and multilateral voting. Collective defense, coastal and northern states form a maritime air defense pact. Interior states join for cyber and aerospace coverage. Global markets reprice risk, then stabilize. Energy exporters from Gulf states, tech exporters from West Coast, and finance hubs in Northeast set benchmarks. Trade partners require harmonized rules of origin to prevent transshipment. Certification bodies proliferate but interoperate. North American integration intensifies. Cross-border energy swaps with Canada and Mexico increase. Regional grid interties strengthen. Within a year, baseline treaties cover aviation, maritime, telecom, payments, and extradition. The basics of modern life stay intact. Logistics corridors get formal names and treaties. Over time, they look like any efficient customs union. 5 years on, a patchwork of 50 countries functions like a dense network of mid-sized economies with high interoperability. GDP rebalances. Coastal finance and tech hubs grow modestly. Manufacturing states retain output via export corridors. Rural regions specialize in energy and food. R&D, shared grant frameworks across blocks, prevent duplication. IP law harmonized to keep patent families enforceable across borders. Property markets, cross-border ownership common. Title insurance operates through reinsurers spanning multiple countries. Energy mix, renewables expand with multi-country PPAs. Balancing areas coordinate storage and fast-ramping gas for stability. HVDC lines knit regions. Cross-zonal capacity auctioned day ahead. Congestion revenues fund resilience. Gas markets adopt uniform measurement and odorization standards. Emergency curtailment protocols tested annually. Climate adaptation. Shared reinsurance pools lower premiums for resilient infrastructure and code upgrades. Mobility normalizes. Many states join a Schengen-like free travel area. External border checks concentrate at ports and airports. Courts develop comity doctrines for judgments. Arbitration seats diversify but enforce consistently. Public safety. Cross-border task forces standardize evidence handling. Extradition streamlined to 48-72 hours for routine cases. Healthcare reciprocity stabilizes costs. Rare disease centers accept international referrals without financial shocks to patients. SMEs thrive on niche exports, tools, specialty foods, components, leveraging harmonized standards to reach neighbors. Payments. Regional real-time networks interlink. FX spreads narrow within blocks. Remittances near zero cost domestically. Tourism increases, marketed by national brands. 50 stamps in one lifetime, same continent, familiar roads. Labor. Skills passports recognized by multiple states. Micro-credentials verify competencies across borders with secure registries. Splitting into 50 countries would be disruptive but survivable with systems thinking. Interdependence would force cooperation. The lesson is engineering, not drama. Design interoperable institutions, manage risk at boundaries, and invest in shared standards. Borders add friction, systems reduce it. When institutions are modular and resilient, societies adapt. What scenario should we explore next? Share your ideas below. You've been watching IfVerse, where imagination meets possibility. See you in our next reality.